Ross Bolen Podcast.
You better listen.
Welcome back to the Ross Bolen Podcast, otherwise known as RBP, presented by Bolen Media. I am your host, Ross Bolen, back again with your co-host, as always, Chris Coulson. Chris, how you feeling today?
Feeling great, man. Energy's high today. Beautiful day in Austin. Cold front came in last night. Woke up this morning feeling nice and crispy outside.
Does it count as a cold front?
Yeah.
It's still like shorts weather outside.
Well, yeah, but it's cooler.
For us, though.
It's a cool front.
For us down in Tejas.
And that's why Ross is wearing the shades. Cool factor.
Is it?
Full circle.
If you're new to our show, welcome. A lot of new listeners as a result of our interview with Dr. Joe Jorgensen on episode 339. Our comedy podcast has been around for a few years now. Chris has been with me for what? 3 months? Four months? Three?
Yeah, 4 months. Came in the 7th month of the year. It is now the 10th. Okay, so like 3.5 months.
Yeah, sure.
Months.
Every week on Monday and Wednesday, we discuss mental health, current events, sports, music, history, animals, and more right here on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, also on youtube.com/Bolen Media, wherever you're watching and or listening. And we're happy to have you. RBP 340 is brought to you by Birddogs, makers of the most comfortable all-purpose shorts in the world. You can literally wear them to do anything, anywhere, at any time. They're gym shorts with a built-in silky soft inner liner that makes underwear obsolete. And now they make pants with built-in underwear and without it. If you're afraid of change, you coward. The most breathable, comfortable golfing your dick off pants you've ever owned. Perfect for the golf course and the office or a nice meal out on the town. They look great. Nobody will even know you're 1,000 times more comfortable than they are in your Birddogs pants. Shockingly comfortable. You're going to feel like Winnie the Pooh walking around with a shirt on and no bottoms. That's what you're going to feel like. You will have bottoms on, of course. You'll just feel like Pooh Bear. They dry faster than a bathing suit. Birddogs. You can hit a workout, jump straight into the pool, get out, dry off in the sun, wear them to drive around in your Tesla because you have a Tesla now. Drive that Tesla back home. Wash it with your golden retriever Elvis because you're wearing Birddogs, and bitch, you can do anything. Go to birddogs.com. Use the code RBP when you check out, and guess what? They'll throw in a free pair of nunchucks because you need a weapon with your silky soft built-in underwear on your breathable shorts and or pants. Nunchucks.
People will be so envious of your silky soft shorts that they're going to try to steal them straight off your body. So you need
the
nunchucks
chucks
to
defend yourself.
Yep.
Exactly. That's birddogs.com, code RBP. Boom. Free nunchucks with your order. Enjoy your bird dogs. You will never want to take them off. They are a safe space for all your most valuable possessions. It's time for some announcements and some shouts. Bruce and Bella, my two dogs, have a teeth cleaning and likely removal operation tomorrow morning. They've had to do this a couple times. Little dogs, man, they struggle with their teeths, you know?
For our new listeners, do you want to tell the listeners about who Bruce and Bella are?
They're my two toy Australian shepherds. They're 6 and 5 years old. They're half brother and sister. Bruce, 6. Bella, 5. Bruce, probably 11 pounds. Bella, I don't know, 9.5 right now. She's a little floofy.
She's a little floofy. They both have little skirts.
She's putting on the winter weight. Yeah, they haven't been groomed as much this year as a result of COVID. My groomer now desperately trying to get people back in. I'm getting 5 emails a day with like differing amounts of percentages off.
Wow. They really
in the morning, they're like, fire out a 10% off email.
Please,
we need you. By 2 p.m., they're like, fuck it, 25%. And I'm like, damn, I might come in. And then by 3 p.m., it's like 40% off. And I'm like, whoa.
You're like, I would have accepted this at 10, but let's keep it rolling, baby.
But then I remember I'm busy and I don't go. But yeah, so they've had to have some teeth removals before. They have to be put under for it. It's just kind of a scary circumstance every time you have to do small dogs with anesthesia. So Bruce and Bella, prayers, positive thoughts up for my furry family. As I mentioned, if you want to watch our show, you can watch full video of every episode, including 339 with Dr. Joe Jorgensen, on youtube.com/Bolen Media. You should do that. We're also live on twitch.tv/BossRollin', live streaming on Twitch, playing video games with podcast listeners every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday at 7 p.m. Central. This Tuesday, tonight's 7 p.m. stream has been canceled. We ended up doing it Monday. Again, Bruce and Bella's surgery in the morning. I can't be up late tonight, so we moved this Tuesday stream this week to Monday. But usually Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, 7 p.m. Central. We'll be back Thursday, 7 p.m. Central, and then Sunday, 7 p.m. Central, live on twitch.tv/BossRollin'. Huge shouts to all our supporters on Twitch. At over 1,100 subscribers, we have a blast playing Call of Duty, Among Us, Apex Legends, Valorant, Fall Guys, and more with podcast listeners every Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday at 7 p.m. Central on twitch.tv/BossRollin'. But it is time now, Christopher, for our first segment of the day.
Oh, yeah, baby.
insane headlines of the day. So every week, well, not really every week, just kind of as we see fit, we like to do a segment called Insane Headlines of the Day, where we pull some of the most outrageous headlines from the most recent news cycle, whether it's 24 hours, 48 hours, or a week. It really doesn't matter. Sometimes we'll pull something random and viral from years ago that is hilarious to us that we want to discuss. But today we have a few for you. And the first one is, again, political. As is the last. Because this is a political podcast now, and I know some of you love that so much. No, it's not. It's political in that a presidential candidate is the main subject of the headline. Here it is. Joe Biden campaign launches first ever battle rap ad. Now, if this strikes you just off the rip as purely pandering, you are correct. It is. Because I thought at first, it sounds like purely pandering, and then I watched it to be sure that it was. And I thought to myself, surely the Democratic Party wouldn't make something so silly. And it's as silly as it sounds like it's going to be. It's also probably effective. I don't know how many people are going to watch this ad, like from front to back. I don't know who the exact demographic that they're going after in terms of trying to drive people to get out and vote. I don't know how much money they spent on this particular ad. That's information I'm very interested in. But I implore you to go watch it, as it is the first ever in history battle rap ad
For a presidential candidate. Yes. A couple funny things about this article. One, it was written on XXL, which is just hilarious. It's not from
yes, this headline is from xxlmag.com.
Because it's
which is my favorite news source.
It's a rap-centered article, even though it's about the president or the potential president of the United States, which is quite hilarious.
You're too young to know this, but XXL and like The Source, back in the day, these were publications that carried major weight in the hip hop community.
Like magazine? Do you used to get an XXL magazine?
I'm talking magazines, like paper printed magazines. Have you even heard of that? Do you even know what that is?
A magazine?
A printed, you would hold it in your hand and you would flip the pages.
It honestly is
and
funny.
You would read words. There'd be pictures too, but you'd read the words about whatever it was you were looking at. There was different articles and such.
Like next tab and stuff? You had to change tabs?
I'm trying to think of how I could make an analogy for how
do you
compare
scroll?
It to TikTok, which is the only thing that you know.
How do you scroll on paper?
Yeah, it's hard.
It's tough?
It's a flip, not a scroll.
A flip?
It's a flip.
You actually have to move your finger over?
Sometimes
what happens?
You have to wet the fingers too.
What happens when you get to the end of it? Where's the next page?
Do you wet the fingers when you read a book?
No, I'm not a wet the finger guy. If I have to.
Like, do you ever struggle? Because I don't have nails, right? I'm a nervous nail biter. And I feel like nails are essential in the intricacy of like small little things that you're doing, like when it comes to like stuff like turning a page.
Sometimes a nail page.
Yeah, man, it helps you get like the hook up and under.
Did you never learn like the pressure thing where you just like push down a little and push up and it like creates the separation between the pages?
I don't use that strategy. Is that one I should be utilizing?
I would
rather
say so.
than
the lick. It's COVID times, Ross.
I just don't
COVID.
Well, I'm not sharing books with anybody, frankly. Maybe I should be, but I just don't like the.
Your neighbor has a book share thing in their front yard.
Frankly, my fingers are disgusting. They do. It's still a weird strategy to me.
My neighbor has one too, actually, in my neighborhood.
I just am not, because of the COVID thing, I'm not coming and getting a book and leaving a book.
No.
Anyway, I don't like licking my fingers when I'm reading, but I only read like once a month anyway, so it's fine. But when I do, every time I end up licking my fingers to turn the pages, and then my hands are disgusting, frankly.
Sure.
And they're either covered in, food, bong resin, and or hand sanitizer, which tastes like tequila. I mean, I'm coming up on 3 years sober.
He's not trying to get
going to lick my finger and getting a half of a tequila shot.
All of a sudden, he's hammered.
Because the pharmacy, that was the sanitizer they had.
Now we have 2 bottles of wine on the way because Ross gets the taste again.
Yeah, it's just 190 proof tequila in a fucking. I'm still blown away by that. I know I talked about it on the show, but the first time I went to the pharmacy in the COVID, full-blown COVID situation, and they were like, take some hand sanitizer. And I was like, I will. And then as I was rubbing it on my hands, he was like, yeah, it's pretty heavy tequila, but, I basically, if you get pulled over, just explain to him that it was hand sanitizer. And I was like, damn. And then I took a sniff and was like, oh, I'm going to smell like tequila for the next 4 to 6 hours.
Did I tell the story on the pod about how my old job, they had to put like these little gelatinous orbs inside of the tequila hand sanitizer because our high school hosts and hostesses were taking shots during their shift?
Hosts and hostesses?
Yeah, I worked at a restaurant. You know, they like at the people that
Oh,
stand
so
at
the high school. Yeah. Why is that a high school job, by the way? To greet people at the front of a restaurant?
Because you have to be 18 to serve the alcohol, but you only have to be 16 to work in the restaurant. So between the times of 16 to 18, you can work at the host stand and not have to touch any of the alcohol to serve food or anything like that. So it's like an entry position.
Here's my thing.
Sure.
Mostly high school chicks getting those jobs.
Yeah, I would agree.
And there's just something a little weird about that. I don't know. I'm not going any deeper than that.
I will
just saying it's a little weird.
I will say, this was like a nicer restaurant, like a nicer area, right? The amount of shit that a hostess has to deal with like Karen moms. I mean, I wouldn't want to do that in high school.
I don't want that job.
I feel like you need a little more qualification with that to deal with some anger management. I will say, though,
it depends on the restaurant.
Great diffusion right there. If a 16-year-old hostess can diffuse a 45-year-old white Karen, I think the police may be able to do a little bit of a better job.
Here's the thing about Karen, though. She doesn't, Karen, one of the things that makes her so dangerous is that she's not, identifying her victim, analyzing, and then attacking. It's anybody and everybody, right? So the little girl, but just because most people would look at a 16-year-old girl and go, well, this probably isn't your fault. I'm not going to bitch you out. I'm a normal, logical human being.
Sure.
Karen analyzes for weak points.
That's what I'm saying. She aims for the Achilles.
Karen, I'm picturing the Terminator fucking it's fucking analyzing the girl's outfit, looking for weak points. It's how can I attack this 16-year-old and just humiliate her in front of this entire fucking Chili's.
Yeah, no, that's pretty much it. They look for all the points that they can attack head on. They're building up in their minds. They see the 16-year-old hostess. They're building up in their minds their entire life's backstory so they can attack the fact that their mother one time didn't buy them a birthday present when they were 6 and it still haunts them to this day.
Yeah, it's disturbing.
They know.
Karen, not who this battle rap. The official title is Ultimate Rap League Biden GOTV, parentheses, get out the vote.
So get out the vote doesn't really sound promising or encouraging. Get out the vote?
Do they mean get out
to vote
and vote, or get out to vote, or
get rid
out
of the vote?
Go vote, or get out please vote? Why get out
the vote?
The vote. Get out the vote describes efforts aimed at increasing the voter turnout in elections. And somebody I imagine the argument there at some point, and that they had this conversation, and somehow get out the vote person in that room was just the alpha and came out on top, and that's forever the name of the group. But this battle rap ad features MCs DNA and Charlie Clips. It's a 4-minute campaign ad, and basically these gentlemen have a back and forth on why they shouldn't vote, why or why not. I'm going to read you some of the lyrics off of this XXL article because I feel obligated.
I'll buckle up.
So, when you tell me to go and vote. Well, the reason why it's such a hard one, because how we expect our people to get jobs and the president can't even get the job done. Here's another example. So you think you brought me here that I'm just supposed to confide in Biden. What about the innocent blacks that get snatched out of their car just for riding? We don't even ask for much. All we do is ask for respect. Before they did what they did to George Floyd, this country had their foot on our necks. Now do you understand why I'm upset? And then DNA responds, I feel you, because every time we throw the system an uppercut, all they give us in return is low blows. But Biden and Harris got a plan to outlaw the chokehold. It's inspiring. Donald Trump is the apprentice, but now it's our turn to do the firing. So,
okay.
Let me explain.
Bars.
Let me just
Bars.
say, it's cheesy
Bars.
though. It's
Bars.
It's just a
Bars.
bit, and it and the way it begins to unfold on this basketball court in D.C. near Howard University, and then the visuals later they're 2 feet away from the White House. It's just it comes if somebody else had made this. Let me put it this way:
Sure.
If someone else had made this, a third party,
sure.
I'd be like, cool, man. That is a cool effort to get people to go vote.
I get what you're saying.
Whatever. The fact that it's a 78-year-old white guy running for president's campaign, regardless of who his vice is, it makes it hilarious. It does.
Yeah, no, it's quite hilarious because it's an obvious
because it's Joe Biden.
Well,
the oldest living white man.
The thing is too, if they were really gonna target the demographic that a rap infused.
But it's like older black dudes.
That's what I'm saying. See, that's what I'm saying. This isn't aimed at the
middle-aged
demographic
black
that
men?
it should be.
Is that
aimed
the
at.
demographic that they're going for? It's just an odd ad.
Yeah, like
I understand that there was probably some thought behind it that I'm not giving.
Sure.
But just from the standpoint of the general public getting a hold of it, the ad is ridiculous. Like, it's fucking... I hope it's effective. I got a good laugh out of it. I don't feel like I learned anything. I feel like real... I don't want to offend, excuse me, what are their names? These two MC, DNA or Charlie Clips. I'm not familiar with the two gentlemen, but I feel like guys like, J. Cole, Lil Baby, they've got this covered.
Yeah. And if they had one of those artists,
That
not
would-
a
that would
battle
be-
rap, it would probably hit.
Hey, you know what would be fucking fascinating to me?
Like J. Cole narrating.
Or Kendrick.
Yeah.
If they dropped a fucking Joe Biden campaign and Kendrick Lamar was rapping about voting, guess who's watching that over and over?
These guys.
Most people probably
Yeah.
that like rap.
But like, battle rap doesn't hit with my generation. Never in my like, maybe some people, but I would argue battle rap was kind of past its prime by the time that
you're
I got into
absolutely
rap.
correct.
Yeah. So like, I mean, that was like
You want
late
me to
90s,
tell you very
early
quickly how that
2000s.
happened? The too long didn't read. Freestyle rap was destroyed by BET because they would have all these rappers on
Sure.
and throw them in a freestyle environment. I'm
Okay.
doing quotes here, air quotes. No mainstream rapper that wants to maintain even a shred of credibility is going to go on BET and live freestyle.
Sure.
That
it-
is a very risky move.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys aren't good at freestyling.
Yeah.
So they do verses from unreleased songs or from old songs, or they mix verses here and there, take lines from songs. It was never a freestyle.
Yeah.
And slowly over time, people just figured that out and became less and less interested. It was like, y'all aren't flowing. This isn't flow. No one's freestyle. This isn't a battle rap. Y'all aren't battling. You're just throwing different verses from different songs at each other. It still exists on an underground level, but there was a point where it became cool and mainstream in the mid to late 2000s, and then it sort of got washed by...
I would say it peaked at like 8 Mile, and then from then it's just been downhill.
Yeah, pretty much. And 8 Mile set like really unrealistic expectations.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There's like a handful of cats who can throw down like that.
Yeah.
Probably at any given moment, but not many.
And then I would say after Nick Cannon's Wild and Out, right?
Wildin' Out destroyed a lot of freestyle, man.
That's what I was saying.
That might have been the nail in the coffin.
Because that became just like the commercialized, corny version of battle rap, and
Like,
just kind of wrote it out.
we
for
all
years and
know
years.
those are all written lines, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Y'all don't think that like actually people go on Wildin' Out and come up with those corny ass jokes on the spot, do you? Cause that's not how that works. Just to be clear, that's like believing that like The Bachelorette is real.
The Bachelorette isn't real?
No. Which takes us to our next headline. Go watch that ad. Go watch the ad. Pay your respects to DNA and Charlie Clips for the effort. It's not their fault. This probably wasn't their idea.
Yeah, I highly doubt that.
I hope it's effective. It was like a parody. It's like it comes off as a parody. End of commentary. Next headline. Management consultant, 45, hacked ex-boyfriend's Alexa from 130 miles away to tell his new partner to leave home, sending her fleeing in tears. All right. Look, we've all had odd experiences with Siri, with Alexa. What's the other one's name? Cora?
Oh, God, I haven't even
Who
thought
cares?
about that one.
I haven't spoken to her
I
in
think
years.
she gave up, yeah.
I haven't spoken to her
We
in
broke
years.
up a while
God
back.
knows where she is.
Yeah, I hope she's doing well.
In
Prayers,
another
thoughts.
place
With
with
another
another
person.
man. That's from Game of Thrones. What's the cuck for Danny? The old guy who cucks for Danny? Jorah, thank you. Jorah Mormont.
I was going to say,
In another place.
You hosted a Game of Thrones podcast.
with
for
another man. Hey, it just took me
4
a
years,
second.
so.
Look, there's a lot of stuff in my
Okay, you're
brain.
right,
I'm
you're
focused
right,
right now
you're
on this
right.
management consultant who hacked her boyfriend's Alexa, ex-boyfriend, from 130 miles away. We've all had weird experiences with these things. Y'all have heard on the show, I'll be sitting here and Alexa will be like, "How can I help?" And I'm like, "Bitch, I didn't say anything." And mine actually is like an Australian man now, I think. It arouses me.
Australian
And
female for me.
yeah, good for you. Anyway, the voice recognition technology and our ability to speak to these AI, everybody's got a HomePod or an Alexa or some kind of weird Google machine in a corner of the room that out of nowhere will try to answer a question for you, or you'll be at a dinner party having a conversation and somebody will say like, I saw an eagle flying over the camp today. I don't know where we are. And then Alexa will just start playing the Eagles like a song.
Sure.
And you're like, what the fuck? Everybody's had weird moments like that. But to consider this, that your ex could wait for a moment where your now new partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, person is in your home and access your Alexa in an effort to destroy your relationship. This is another level.
Another level of psycho, yeah. I would say so.
Also genius. Just an incredible move if you're trying to get rid of an ex-boyfriend's new girlfriend.
This is going to be the next style of like horror movies. Instead of hauntings and paranormal activity, it's just going to be people hacking into their house computer systems and freaking the fuck out of people.
It's why I'm a little weirded out by, like, have you been in like a fully automated smart home?
Not yet.
Where everything is
like
hooked up to
the
stuff.
The doors you can lock on your phone.
Windows, doors, the lights, the alarm, the televisions, the ambiance. Like a fucking plant will pop out of the wall if you press a button. Just
right into your face?
No, just near. Just to like, so you can smell it just a bit.
Do you name your plants, by the way?
No.
I have a lot of friends that are plant namers.
It says that like only if you don't have pets.
Probably.
Because you don't name a plant if you have a pet.
Unless it's a special plant. Like if I had a weed plant, I'd name that.
Okay, that's a totally different thing.
Sure. They do
I
take
guess
a lot
it's
more
not.
care.
It's the
Or a
exact.
bonsai.
It's the exact same thing.
My roommate
growing
has a
any
bonsai
plant.
tree. It's not going very well.
Bonsai!
I think it takes way more
I
care
cannot
than he
get
thought
this
of.
article to even load anymore.
Me
by
neither.
the way.
Daily Mail is a shit show of advertisements. It literally keeps crashing my MacBook. But
Why?
regardless,
What happened? What is
it
this?
keeps crashing my MacBook. Like there's just
Unbelievable. I'm gonna
ads
have to
everywhere.
find it somewhere else.
There's
Daily Mail is
pop-ups
usually the
everywhere.
only, like, it's my secondary source of news behind Wikipedia. And now it's crashed on me, which is sad.
But like, if you took your house alone 2 more steps, right? If you took it to the point where even your doors could be locked automatically, somebody could just hack your house, lock you in, and turn your Nest little AC thing up to 100, and you're dead in an hour.
Yeah,
They'd
look,
cook you.
obviously, we've all that's got to be a terrible horror movie somewhere that's been made. Because we've all seen older horror movies where, like, the premise is, like, the house turning on you, you know?
Monster
Or the
House.
The Shining, the hotel is the entity, right?
Sure.
Your house, fucking technology house turning on you and eating you is next.
Well, what's the, have you ever seen that old Disney movie that was from the 90s? I think it was called Smart House.
No,
I think it was.
that sounds right.
It was called Smart House.
This
Have you
is-
seen Smart House?
This is phenomenal. No, but I have access to this article through a third-party website. Haha! Workaround, Daily Mail. Okay, so Philippa is the name of the 45-year-old. She told her ex-boyfriend's new partner to take her stuff away by speaking through his computer assistant device. So she hacked into it. Here's the weird thing. Whenever somebody gets caught or in trouble for something like this, they get all these photos of them from off their Instagram.
Or like Facebook?
Or like their Twitter.
Yeah.
So like it's this creepy selfie of like the chick who did this with her fucking dog. Also, she was like accessing the lights, turning the lights on and off. She also posted a naked photo on her ex-boyfriend's Facebook account.
Of her?
I don't know. It doesn't say. She
Wow.
faces 2 counts of disclosing personal sexual photos and movies with
So
the
I'm
intention
assuming
of
of
causing
her.
distress. Sounds like
Of her.
or of him.
Oh. Ugh.
Like his old dong pics or whatever. She went full psycho.
Yeah.
Never go full psycho.
Ever. But I mean,
Never.
imagine being this new girl. You're in your new boyfriend's house of like a couple months, right? And then all of a sudden, while he's gone, the Alexa just starts talking to you,
And he
saying,
just
"Get the
goes-
fuck
he
out,"
goes, "Get out.
over and over.
Get out." What do?
You get the fuck out. That's what you do.
Yeah.
You don't mess around with that.
If I ever hear a voice in my house that's not mine, I'm taking a baseball bat to every speaker in the joint.
Ross has so many speakers in the house too.
Sonos
that
in every
somebody
corner.
could fuck with Ross so heavy.
No, it's not cool. Don't.
Technically, I could.
But don't.
In the middle of the night, I could just start playing some very creepy shit on the Sonos.
That is not a joke.
At like
We
an
could easily
extremely
just
low volume.
Let's not do prank wars.
and
Let's not become
destroy
prank guys.
your mental health.
We don't want to become prank
That's
guys.
our pivot. We're just gonna be a prank house.
No.
Like, have you ever seen it's a new trend now. Like people, well, I
No,
don't know if
prank-
it's necessarily new,
Because people
but
are just stuck in their houses and they got nothing to do but prank each other.
and they're the
again.
worst pranks of all time. They're
Here-
so fake. They're
I
terrible.
am so strung out. If you prank me right now, you have like a 50-50 shot of dying. Like, because I'll just snap. I've got no emotional capacity for prank wars. One prank could be the end.
For Ross Bolen.
Next headline. Johnson & Johnson pauses COVID-19 vaccine trial over patient exhibiting unexplained illness.
Get the squad, boys. We're dropping in.
Oh, good. Let's close out the year with a full-on zombie apocalypse. Fantastic. You cannot tell us this and not give us more details on the illness because that's literally the premise to a shit ton of horror movies, apocalyptic horror movies with zombies.
I'm pretty sure that's how World War Z literally starts.
There's like 3 of them.
Yeah.
That's like it's like news bits of new
Like-
vaccine administered to fight blank virus, and then like it's like 3 weeks pass or whatever, and it's like everyone is a zombie,
Yeah.
and Brad Pitt is the only survivor,
Yeah.
and then he has to take the vaccine himself in an effort to save others.
I mean, if there's slow zombies, I'm cool with it. Like a Zombieland style
Nope.
slow zombie.
Nope.
Go grab a Hummer. Hey, Hummer guys in Zombieland actually. But
True enough,
also,
true enough. Hey, listen, zombie apocalypse wipes the rules of Hummer guy.
that's true.
If there's a zombie apocalypse, we're all looking for Hummers. Don't lie.
What's step 1 for you, zombie apocalypse?
Gotta get me a Hummer.
That's step 1. Get you a Hummer.
That's step 1.
What's step 2?
Gotta
Where-
get me a gun strapped to the top of that Hummer.
I'm going to the
Gatling
mountains.
gun. I need a gun on top of the Hummer.
I feel like you got to get high ground first, or an island. Can zombies swim?
I don't know. See? Multiple zombie movies and shows where they go to an island. Oh, this is going to be it. We'll be fine. One of the zombie movies, one of the old school ones, ends. Literally, the credits start rolling, and you're like, oh, these four people escaped.
They
and
did
then,
it.
And then they like start you get these flashes to them pulling up to the island.
And there's zombies
Guess
there?
what, Chris?
Fucking zombies.
Fucking zombies all over the island.
Is that Dawn of the Dead?
I believe so.
Yeah. There was a Call of Duty map made after that one.
Was there?
Yeah, where the director of Dawn of the Dead, I wanted to say his name is George.
I'm
If
trying
it's
to look
Geor-
up that island. North Sentinel Island. It's like if you
Oh,
rolled
it's
out to
directed by
North
Zack
Sentinel
Snyder,
Island
never.
and you were like, ah, yes, this is going to be the spot. We know there's people there. We know that there's nobody else has interfered with North Sentinel Island. And then you got out there and all the North Sentinelese had already been turned into...
Wait, the North Sentinel Island's the one with the dudes on it with the spears that'll kill you if you come up. They'd kill you anyway.
Nah, I feel
terrible
like that's
writing.
the spot.
Nah.
Yes.
They kill people like every year. Some dumbass journalist
Yes.
that goes to school in
Keyword.
Australia.
Keyword. Dumbass. These are people who keep trying to go up to like the beach and be like, we want to educate you on the Western ways. And
they're
they
just
take a
like-
spear to the fucking thigh and get dragged into the forest. Like Ace Ventura. He gets a spear in each thigh.
Yeah.
In Ace Ventura 2. Doesn't matter. What if 2021 is just like utter zombie pandemonium and this was just the warm-up?
Like 2020 was just like getting started.
Like, you know how things keep happening when people are like, it can't get worse. And
Yeah.
then it just keeps getting worse.
Yep.
And like, doesn't it feel like we've kind of reached the point where maybe it's just, this is the
it?
world?
this is it.
And then 2021 is just going to rip off the Band-Aid and just fucking pour the zombies out, which takes us to our next segment, Wednesday Mental Health Minute. Normally we do these on Monday, so there are 3 M's in the title of the segment, which is just neat. Today we only have 2 M's. Sad. One of the main focuses, if not the main focus of this podcast, is indeed mental health. Chris and I are both mental health patients. That never sounds right. What is every time I refer to myself, I'm like, I'm a mental health patient.
I would just say people that struggle with mental health. Yeah.
But that's everybody.
Yeah, but like struggle with like diagnosed clinical mental
Yeah,
health.
if you're like a diagnosed mental health person, though, like let's say you have bipolar or you have panic disorder or you have depression, anyway, it doesn't matter. Point is, when I refer to us as mental health patients, it feels a little weird. 2020 is a living hell. We all know that. We all need a little help from our friends. And on that note, today, I wanted to spend a little time talking about friendship. No new friends. Real friends, how many of us? Friendship is something we're introduced to as young children for the first time, right? But much like, your first love in high school or middle school or whenever it is, that version of friendship that you have as a child is like an immature, unfinished version of friendship. Or it's just like a shallow friendship, I guess, when you're a child. It's simple, right? It's a simpler version of friendship. Adult friendship is obviously much more complicated and difficult to manage. And what I've found, the older I get, climbing into my 30s now, being 33 years old, having a lot of friends who have their own families and children, businesses, careers, all these different things that people get swept up to as life goes on. You have a lot of different types of friendships too, which makes it really complicated. And in a year where I feel like a lot of us have spent at least a little time looking to our friendships, analyzing them, there's people that I feel for many of us, real friends versus maybe some more fringe friends have sort of been exposed over the course of 2020. It's been a little more obvious for some of us who's really there versus who's really not. It's been, there have been moments where I've realized, man, I never reach out to this friend of mine. Like, I haven't spoken to them in a couple of months because we don't get together the way we normally would have with COVID or whatever. And it definitely, I'm slacking on my end reaching out to this person. There are also people that I realize, like, I only need to check in with this dude like once every 6 months. And we're pretty, like, we pick up right where we left off. There are other people where it's like, if I don't keep in touch with them, we don't maintain our connection as friends as well.
Sure.
We don't stay on the same wavelength. There are all these different kinds of friendships. And that is, I guess, my first point. Often what I've found myself doing is putting too much pressure on all my relationships to sort of be in the same wavelength.
Sure.
To sort of exist in the same plane, which is unfair. Just because everybody's different. And if the shoe was on the other foot, I'm certainly a different, like, I'm a pretty unique type of individual when it comes to the groups of straight white males that I'm friends with, right? The people that I'm most exposed to in my life, I am a more emotional, transparent, and open human being than most of them. When it comes to personal stuff, mental health, emotions, wanting to talk about shit. Like, it's the reason that I tend to get along better with women than men is because
I was literally going to ask that exact same question. Growing up, a lot of the times, because I'm the same way, very transparent with my emotions, especially the older I've gotten.
Men tend to want to bottle up our emotions.
A lot of the
talk
time,
about them.
when especially guys my age, like 18 to 24-year-old guys, 18 to 22-year-old guys, it's like college-age guys currently, especially in the South. I feel like a lot of times I get along better with girls my age than guys my age because they don't quite have that emotional maturity yet to be able to talk about their emotions transparently, or they just want, like,
when I say this, Chris, like, it's something that, it took me many years to consider, but for people like you and me who are sort of forced to face that arena, who are sort of forced as men to be more emotional and transparent as a result of our mental health struggles, whatever they may be.
Sure.
I don't know that I would be this way if not for that. It's one of the yin and yang things of mental health. Like, it's one of the reasons I call my panic disorder and all the panic attacks I've endured at the end of the day a blessing, because they've given me that.
Oh, absolutely.
As an example of one of the positives, I'm a much more emotionally transparent, available, an emotionally healthy human being than I once was.
Oh, I completely, like, without
so for
the
people
mental...
who don't have mental health struggles, especially men, straight men especially, it seems, that don't really access their emotions as frequently or as willingly, we people like us, we tend to get along better with women as a result, or some women, not all of them.
Well, yeah,
but
I'm saying,
in
like,
terms of
right
friendship,
off the bat,
yeah,
usually,
and being able to just
you can dive deeper,
feel a
usually,
connection straight up,
yeah.
Which is obviously problematic for men, and it's one of the first things that we started talking about on this show back when it launched. I believe it was like episode 5 or something. We started to dive into sort of the emotional side of men, how closed off we are, a lot of us, and how we can combat that. Things that end up really hurting us long term, like bottling up our emotions and not crying when we need to, not letting those emotions out. What do you think happens? They don't just disappear. Poof.
Yeah.
If you don't treat, they're in there, and they're toxic. You got to treat that shit. You got to talk about stuff. And
I think you see that a lot with our parents' generations.
Oh, yeah.
Like, especially like
The older
growing up in the
you are, the less
especially-
likely it is that was an acceptable thing when you were young.
Absolutely. Like my father growing up in a military family, like
Talking
he was
about your
always,
feelings and
yeah,
shit.
it was always he was always taught, like suck it up, be a man, like move on, forget
That
about
was
it.
like the classic American sort of mantra.
Yeah, and now like down the line, I can see that he has these like pent up emotions that like he just never fully learned how to deal with, and I think you see that a lot in our parents' generation.
It's tough, man. I was talking with my psychiatrist about this yesterday. How I think for a lot of the older generations, people in their 70s, 80s, 90s right now in particular, that had all these mental health issues in life.
Yeah.
That they never got to address due to the circumstances, societal circumstances, personal circumstances. Those things translate to sickness. I mean, there is a direct connection between Alzheimer's, for example, and untreated mental health ailments prior in life,
I'm
earlier
sure.
in life. And man, that's such an awful thing for all these other generations, and it's hopefully getting better generation by generation by generation. I feel like your generation, more than my generation, will be even more tapped into that and sort of willing to discuss things that before were seen as shameful or carried these stigmas.
Yeah.
Right? We try to get further and further away from that, just like we try to get further and further away from things like racism. Generation by generation, you got to kind of pick away at this shit.
Yeah.
Chip away at this shit with the pickaxe or whatever, because it's a damn mountain and it takes forever. Anyway, it just you cannot judge every friendship on the same plane, because not everybody that you're friends with has the same emotional capacity, has the same things going on in their lives, right? So you kind of have to. I do that. I did this blanket judgment of my friends, and it was very unfair. And looking back at it, this was sort of earlier in this year after the divorce, when I was sort of looking at my world, everything was all shaken up, and then on top of that, everything's all shaken up. And it was just sort of hard for me to differentiate like who's who and why and where. And the more time that's passed, the more perspective I've gained, and the more I'm like, well, you know what? Because I'm looking back at other circumstances where I'm like, you know what? I know a guy who went through a divorce, and I wasn't like hitting him up every week asking him if he was okay. Or you know what? I remember a friend that at one point was really depressed, and I wasn't going over to their house all the time trying to bring them food and shit. And when you look at things from other people's perspective and you start to consider the fact that we don't get all that wrapped up in each other's worlds, and now maybe that's a problem, especially for men. Maybe we should be more involved in each other's lives as friends. It's something that one of my friend groups has had to make a conscious effort to attack. That very point, that we don't talk enough about stuff, even if it's just through text message.
Yeah.
Real shit, not just sports. Like our text group will be like 1,000 sports texts, politics texts, news text, and then one person will share like one thing about their life when a kid has a birthday or some shit.
Sure.
It's like, that's not, like, what are we doing here? So I'll say this. If you're a man and you find your friendships maybe lacking in substance, you have to be intentional with this shit and address your friends and your friend groups about it. Like, hey, yo, we don't, guys, have you ever recognized that we don't talk that much about real shit, like real stuff?
Yeah.
Maybe we could do that a little more. There's nothing lame about saying that.
No.
There's nothing soft about that suggestion. It's just for whatever reason, we males, men especially, again, straight dudes in the U.S., it's the way we were brought up in our culture, you're sort of taught, like, you don't do that.
Yeah.
Which is directly opposed to what, like, science and doctors tell us we should do.
Yeah. Like you're told, like, if you're having beers with the boys, you don't just start talking about your feelings out of nowhere. You know what I mean?
Guys, I'm having a really hard week at the office. Let me
Yeah.
tell you about my coworker, Tim. He was really rude to me on Wednesday, and it's been bugging me ever since. Like, that's not a thing.
I've really felt down this week because of X and X going. Yeah, but it should be a
Guys,
thing.
it's
You should
been
be able
1
to
year
talk
since
about that.
Sarah broke up with me. I'm having a really hard week, and I just wanted to let you guys know that I may need a little extra emotional support this week. You'd get booed out of the group text in most situations. You'd get gift to death.
Gift
Called a
death.
pussy. But
I would
nah,
argue
man,
as
like,
well.
you got to be able to talk with your people, and for whatever reason, for many, 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 many different reasons, men struggle with this more than women in the United States, historically.
What do you think
it's
about?
getting more and more toward the middle?
What do you think about having like different friends for different things as well? Like I have buddies of mine that like will go out with and have a beer that I know we're not going to talk about deep shit.
Sometimes you need that.
Yeah, and we're just going to go out and we're going to have
And you
a good
got a buddy
time.
that you know, like, if you hang out, it's going deep.
Oh, 100%. I
And
have guys
sometimes you don't need that.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to avoid that.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. You
For
said
sure.
perfectly said. And I think it's okay to have a multitude of different friends that, do different things cuz like and this is I
Serve
don't want
different
this to,
functions, sort of, almost.
Yeah, and I don't want this to come across as like narcissistic, but at the same time, at the end of the day, you're the only person you go to sleep to every night. You're the only person you wake up to
And
every
that
morning.
is so important.
And you got to look after you.
Yes.
And so like
this
at
is
some
why,
point,
because continue your thought,
at
please.
some point you do have to a friendship has to be beneficial to you in some way.
To qualify even as a friendship.
Yes, or else it's not even a friendship. It's a one-way street. You're giving everything you have into somebody else for nothing in return. It should be mutually beneficial, ideally.
Sure. And sometimes it may be you that's putting
Yes.
too much energy toward it, and and that's what I mean. You just have to sort of. I was sort of in this place where I believed friendships to manage themselves. And friendships, just like any other type of relationships, require management. And each individual friendship requires a different personal touch in a lot of cases, especially when it comes to dudes and our ability to address certain things. And maybe it's like Chris said, and you sort of have to build your roster out where you can go to different dudes for different stuff. Just make sure you serve one of those roles for everybody else too, and you're good. It has to be a give and take, though. There cannot be... If you're looking at your groups of friends and you're like, man, I am bringing a lot to the table and not walking away with much, that's problematic. And that's when
Absolutely.
you really have to assess your friendships and manage them. It's not just something that comes naturally, especially for different groups of society. Obviously, we're more or less prone to emotional transparency and the ability to discuss things that are harder to discuss.
And it's very hard to think about losing friends as well. Like if you have friends, especially if you're
Well, and I put it this way. If you've been operating with the same group of friends for so many years and you never stop to really think about it, it just sort of becomes a thing you accept.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, those end up being bad groups.
well, you think
or
it's the way
unhealthy
that
groups.
you just think it's the way that things are. You think that's how friendships work.
And
And
sort
you
of
have
just
to-
once you're friends, it's like forever, right?
Yeah,
And, like,
exactly.
you don't really have to do anything after that.
Exactly. Well, that's what everybody watches, like the Disney movies growing up, of the people that went to high school together, and then they go to college together, and then they get married at the same time, and they have kids together, and they live their entire lives together all the way. The thing is,
What happens for like a very small group of people?
it does. But the thing is, you have to remember that people throughout their lives, if they're living a good and healthy life, they should be constantly changing, gaining new perspectives, and growing. And so
And
there
there's
are
this
times
ebbs and flows to friendship as a result.
Absolutely, because there will be times that somebody grows in a direction that you either don't fully agree with, or you guys are just at
Or you're
different
just in
stages in
another
life
direction,
right now.
yeah.
Exactly, and it's like a constant, like almost DNA style pattern to where like sometimes you're gonna be further away from your friends, and sometimes you guys cross again. You're as close as you could possibly be. But there should be constant conversation there. You should always be addressing these things, looking at them, to maintain healthy relationships on all sides, even if some of them, like a healthy relationship with somebody that's grown and changed over the past year, may be like, hey, we might just need a little bit more space right now because we're in just different stages of life. But then maybe a year later, you're back on the same page, you're back on the same stage of life, and you guys are best friends again. Like, it just takes communication. Communication in any relationship, no matter how small or how large, I would say is ground zero. If you can nail down communication from there, everything else becomes a lot easier. And so it's just talking this out. And that's the hardest thing, especially with guys, is having that first conversation, that first step, that first like, hey, we might need to talk about this, because it could be super awkward.
And
It
I'll
could be
say
difficult
this
to
for
talk
y'all
about.
that are younger, the longer you let it go on to where a total lack of real connection, friendship, conversation becomes the norm, the harder it is to get out of that rut. Just like the longer you have unhealthy habits in a relationship with a girlfriend or a boyfriend, the more difficult it becomes to break them. Just like in your personal life, same thing with friends. And you really have to be careful and assess and manage your friendships. Friends are important.
Yeah.
Nobody should do this alone, right?
Hell no.
So,
And beyond that, the longer you live in a lie, the more the lie becomes the norm. And it's hard to even separate what a relationship should be, what a friendship should be. So, I mean, it's important to reground yourself. Bring yourself back to ground zero. Step away. Look at the bigger picture for a second. Take a deep breath. And then readdress.
the first ever Wednesday Mental Health Minute. Next week, we'll be back with our 3M'd Monday Mental Health Minute. Don't you worry, but we appreciate y'all taking the time to let us discuss friendship and some aspects of it today as part of our show. You are not alone. Never forget that. RBP 340 is also brought to you by Quip, makers of the greatest toothbrush and oral care products in all the land and longtime supporter of this podcast. You've heard us talk about Quip a million times. They've supported us forever. But this is something brand new that rewards you and your mouth. When's the last time you got rewarded for brushing your teeth? When you were a small child? With Quip's new smart electric toothbrush, good habits can earn you great perks like free products, gift cards, and more. The Quip Smart Brush for adults and kids connects to the Quip app with Bluetooth. You can track when and how well you brush, get tips and coaching to improve your habits. You can earn points for daily brushing and bonus points for completing challenges like streaks. You can redeem those points for rewards like free products, gift cards, or discounts from Quip and their partners. If you already have a Quip, you can upgrade it with a smart motor and keep the features you know and love, like the sensitive sonic vibrations, the 2-minute timer with 30-second pulses for a clean, guided, clean mouth. Every time you finish, you feel like you're leaving the dentist. The slim, lightweight, and sleek design of the Quip with no wires or bulky charger to weigh you down. The multi-use travel cover that doubles as a mirror mount for less clutter. Plus, you get a brush head, toothpaste, and floss refills delivered from just $5, and shipping is free. How smart is that? Join over 5 million mouths who use Quip, including me. Get your brush head, your new brush heads, your toothpaste, your floss refills delivered to your house every however long, so you don't have to worry about it. I believe it's 2 months for me. All you have to do to start getting rewards for brushing your teeth today is go to getquip.com/RBP right now. Get your first refill free. First refill free at getquip.com/RBP. That's GETQUIP.com/RBP. Quip, better oral health made simple and rewarding. Next segment. Hotline calls. So our hotline number is 888-WR-BOLEN. WRBOLEN. You can call it any time of day or night, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. There is a 2-minute limit on 888-WR-BOLEN, but you call, ask us a question, ask about anything. You could leave a hypothetical, a trash or not trash. You could sing us a song. Whatever you want, the hotline is there for you. A lot of people use it to just vent. Today we have pulled one call from the hotline, just one. And it's incredible.
It's fantastic.
Chris has seen photo and video evidence of what is discussed on this call, and I cannot wait to discuss. So I guess I'll just let it rip. Here's our call from 888-WR-BOLEN for today, our last segment. Here it is.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Chris from Austin. I'm just calling to get y'all's thoughts on a situation that Coles is already kind of familiar with because I've been snapping the fuck out of everyone about it. It's just so wild. But I have had possums and raccoons and rats and everything you can fucking imagine in my walls, making noise and all kinds of crazy shit for the past, 5 weeks.
Dear
and my
God.
apartment complex has been slow to completely inactive to respond about it until eventually, ultimately, one of these fuckers, a raccoon, chewed a hole through the inside of a cabinet and started sticking its horrifying demon furry baby arm in, trying to grab that shit in there. I think it was hungry, but basically, I had to leave while I was in Bryan for a week visiting to see my parents while they hopefully did something about it. But I came back yesterday, hopefully to live in my apartment again, and some of those fuckers had died. Some were still alive making noise. It smelled horrible. There were flies everywhere. And, at this point, I have a lot of people telling me that I should sue. And I'm like, they've already compensated me a little bit. And at this point, I just want it to be normal. I don't want to drag it out with more litigation and everything. But I just want to know,
want it to be normal.
At what point, how bad would it have to get for y'all to, take legal action against your apartment complex? How bad would it have to get? Thanks, guys. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts. Peace.
Oh my God. Okay, so there's a lot to consider here, but he's got first important note, for 5 weeks, that's over a month.
Yes.
He's got a whole bunch of rodents and animals in his walls, right?
Yes.
A raccoon actually starts making its way through the wall, through a cabinet, quote, sticking his horrifying demon baby arm through.
Bro, I'm not kidding you. He sent me the video of what this looked like.
Uh-huh.
It looked like this. You see, it goes, and it's just reaching out here like this, attempting to grab something. It was terrifying.
It's the opposite of what you want. 5 weeks.
Terrifying.
Apartment complex, raccoon poking his way through a cabinet. Then he leaves for a week to go to his parents in hopes that when he returns, his
escape.
apartment will be rodent-free.
Yes.
He doesn't want to live like Ace Ventura
No.
with penguins hidden in the icebox.
No,
and
no, no.
such.
This is Ace Ventura's apartment if Ace Ventura was directed by Stephen King.
Yeah, and it was only rats.
Yes. And
like
raccoons.
and
And
rodents.
terrifying rodents.
Squirrels.
Yes. But yes, he goes
probably a
to
squirrel
his
king in
parents'
that
house.
wall.
Goes to his parents' house
Comes
for a
back.
week. Comes back. And now everything's just dead.
Now there's a bunch of dead ones. It's like I'm picturing him waking up one day.
Yeah.
And he's in his apartment and
Sure.
there's just this flourishing critter society. These woodland critter creatures that are flourishing and they're all happy and bright, running around, fucking trading food and shit,
Sure.
bartering. Then he's like, I gotta get out of here. The rodents have taken over. They clearly, this is their place now. I'm gonna go to my parents, see if they can handle, see if the apartment complex can handle this. When I come back, they'll all be gone. When he comes back, the woodland critter society within his apartment has turned, right? Now there's a bunch of bodies like stuck to walls, like fucking decapitated. There's like one squirrel in the corner just running in circles, like hitting itself with a spoon. Like everybody's snapped.
There's like blood hieroglyphics on the wall in some ancient animal
Yeah, it
language.
says red rum and raccoon blood on one of the walls.
No,
Like,
the craziest thing was, bro, is that before they started, like before they confirmed that they had a rodent issue, all they would hear is just little in the ceilings and the walls. Just the rodents scurrying around in the
chittering,
walls all
lots
the time.
of chittering.
Yes, yes. And so what Chris and them started doing, he sent me Snapchats of all this, like he said, they start just cutting holes in the fucking walls. Like literal 2-foot holes. I showed Ross a video
you
of this.
showed me one of
They're
these.
literally just handsaw
try to
cutting
find-
holes in the wall, and then that's when he sent me the video of the raccoon sticking his little demon arm outside of, there's a tiny little like 2-inch hole that he chewed through the cabinet with, and he's just out there like trying to grab shit. Unbelievable, bro. Unbelievable. And so then at night, to patch these holes that they've now made in their walls and ceiling, they're just taking plywood and nailing them over top of the holes to keep them covered during the night. It is like, there's a fucking animal cage that they keep in the bathroom in case something gets out so they can put it in the cage
quickly?
and trap it. Yes.
Like really quick? Like do
Yes.
they have like a broom they scurry it into the cage with?
Yes. No,
Dude,
it literally
this
looks like
is-
something out of a serial killer true crime documentary in that
I have
bathroom.
heard a lot of horror stories from like rented apartment complexes and such. We've had a lot of people over the years call in with this or that story, roommate this, roommate that, neighbor above me, neighbor below me, leaks, flooding, toilets exploding, but never have I heard of a person having their home literally taken over by woodland critter creatures in the walls, to the point that they're sawing out holes in the walls. They have a cage readily available for if one of them escapes in the middle of the night. You're essentially living in the forest.
And the crazy thing is, it's not even like a house. Like this
It's
is
an
a fucking
apartment complex.
apartment complex.
You're paying rent every month. And like, I'll say this. If you, like, that month has to be free at a minimum.
Probably the next month as well. Are you kidding?
And they probably need to hook you up.
He
like,
asked
with like a lower rent rate or something for
Yeah.
like the remainder of into 2021 or something. Because like this is awful.
Bro, he asked at what point should he take legal action? Chris,
Several weeks ago.
a week ago, 2 weeks, a month ago, bro.
No, but realistically,
It's
think about it. Think about
over.
it. If it happened to me, I would probably be in the same spot as him. It's one of those things you're like, surely they'll fix this. And like, I don't have to go get a lawyer and then actually take these people to court and like spend money to try to get woodland critter creatures out of my apartment.
But if like a raccoon is in my apartment complex for more than a week,
I'm beating someone's
that's
ass.
what I'm like. There's got to be like. That's
Like
gotta be like
a
one
human
call.
being is
one
taking
call
a
to
beating.
animal control has to at least get further than just cutting random holes in the wall.
The fact that they're having to try to attack this situation themselves is utterly hysterical.
No, it's so funny. It's literally like him and his roommate, like hard hat style,
And
just
here's the
cutting
thing.
holes in the wall with handsaws.
When I was in college, my fraternity house was essentially like a dumpster. It was like a 100-year-old house that had never been renovated or updated, that was filled with disgusting rodents. And I never officially lived in this house for this reason, because it scared me, right? I didn't want to die, basically. It was a smart decision. Not that nobody ever did while I was there, but it was still a smart decision, because there was black mold. And I'll give you, at one point I slept on a couch in this house for about 4 months, okay? Maybe a little bit longer, maybe 6 months. I slept on this couch like 3 or 4 nights a week, because I was still in the dorm All my boys were out of the dorms. Question from Chris. Chris?
Yes, you said that you never lived at this house, yet you lived on the couch
I didn't pay
for
rent.
6
I didn't have a
months.
room. I didn't pay rent.
But
I was
couch
on a
surfing
couch.
for 6 months, I would say.
No. I had a dorm room,
Okay.
okay? And it was like a mile away.
Sure.
But like I would always just crash at the house on a couch.
Okay.
Because fuck the dorm, and I
Sure,
was
sure,
21
sure.
and I hated it, and so I would go to
Wait,
the
you
bars.
lived in a
and
dorm at 21?
I didn't have the hours. It's a long story.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Well, I slept on this couch for like a while, right? And then at one point, we were cleaning this room finally. We were vacuuming. And I went to pick up the couch so we could vacuum underneath it.
Sure.
And I found several thousand rat pellets serving as evidence of a rat community living within the walls and underneath the couch on which I slept, perhaps even inside of it, the size of which is unfathomable. Just an enormous community of rodents that were, and don't get me wrong, we would hear them from time to time.
Yeah.
Late at night, you'd hear them going through the wall or whatever, and you'd be like, whatever, fuck it. Of course we got rats. If this place doesn't have rats, nowhere has rats.
Yeah.
But the sheer volume of rat pellets, it was like Ratatouille built a whole fucking civilization underneath that couch while I was sleeping. And it will haunt me until my final breath.
Ratatouille is also controlling you at night, just sleepwalking
Like
around with your hair.
dude, I'm like picturing me just out cold, like 23 beers deep,
walking
and
all
there's
over you.
just a Ratatouille, the Rat King, standing on my chest, just staring into my face, just deciding, is this the night I slit his throat?
One of them might have shit in your mouth, just so you know, and you never would have known.
Frankly, it wouldn't be the worst thing I put in my mouth. That sounded way worse than it was meant to. Hey, that was our hotline call for the day. We hope things get better for Chris in Austin, who is dealing with, I don't even know how to explain this, dealing with an apartment that's been
Invaded at this point.
Yeah, this
You
is
gotta
like
give
a
up, bro.
possession.
You
like,
lost.
Demon squirrels and if there's a raccoon arm popping through a cabinet in your home, things have gone horribly awry. So rooting for Chris, hoping things go well and that he doesn't have to see. Chris, if you get to go do the legal thing, can you try for Judge Judy? Because this is a version of a lawsuit that should be on Judge Judy.
What does it take to get on Judge Judy?
Great. I'm pretty sure you just apply. Like, here's what I've got going.
You're like, my case is
I don't
absolutely
know.
ridiculous.
Because I think you got to be like in California. Don't you need to be in like her area? You can't just
Probably.
take a case from anywhere. That would be
Probably.
insane.
Yeah, she's not a Supreme Court justice.
No.
As far as I know. Maybe she should be. We have a spot open.
You know, Judge Judy makes like hundreds of millions of dollars.
Doesn't surprise me at all.
Like,
Bro, her show
she's
is
like
on.
filthy rich.
Her show is on, I would say, probably 4 hours a day, every single day for my entire life.
She's worth $440 million. Judge Judy, for just like basically humiliating people on television my entire life. 400. That's almost $500 million for Judge Judy.
I've seen Judge Judy like maybe twice. My Oma used to watch that and Jerry Springer all the time. Yeah, so I'd be like 6 years old watching Jerry in the
By the
living
way,
room.
If you're looking around 2020 and you're like, man, this country really became trash. No. We've always been here. In the fucking 90s, we had Jerry Springer. Go help yourself to a history book. We've been rolling around in the filth for quite some time now, and that will do it for today's episode. But before you head out to take on the world, it's time for some very important announcements. First and foremost, you've been saddled with 3 legal obligations as a result of having listened to this entire podcast. The first of which is that you must rate and review. If you listen somewhere or watch somewhere that doesn't have a rating and review system, that's fine. Sign into fucking Apple Podcasts. Everybody has an Apple ID. Sign in, rate and review. 5 stars, 2 or 3 sentences about why you love the show. Boom, you're done. Check that box and move on to number 2, which is to share this podcast with one person this week, one person next week, and one person every week until the week you die. One friend, family member, coworker, neighbor, I don't care who it is. Just share the show with somebody that you think might enjoy the Ross Bolen Podcast. Tell them about episode 399, where we featured a presidential candidate Joe Jorgensen representing the Libertarian Party in this 2020 election, and the only name on the ballot in all 50 states that's not Trump or Biden. Tell them about one of your other favorite episodes. I don't know, but share the show with one person. This week, next week, and every week until the week you die. Check that box and move on to number 3, your third and final legal obligation, which is to support our sponsors who support us and keep us in business. This episode, you've got Birddogs.com, Code RBP for those free nunchucks when you get yourself a pair of Birddog shorts or pants or shirt. They got all kinds of good stuff. Birddogs.com, code RBP. And, of course, get Quip. Get yourself Quip. A Quip, the best toothbrush in the freaking world. Their new smart brush, it's awesome. You get rewards. GetQuip.com/RBP. Those are your 3 legal obligations. Fulfill them all, and I will call off the dogs. We won't have to see each other in court. We can all live long and prosper and save some money. If you're looking for us on social media, we're on Instagram at the Ross Bolen Podcast, where every day we fill up our Instagram story with photos and videos sent in by our listenership, such as Chris, who has been sending in photos and videos of this raccoon rodent infestation situation, which hopefully we can get some more of so we can update all of you. We will put those up if they come in. We're also on Twitter at Ross Bolen Pod. We're on Facebook.com/Ross Bolen Podcast. You can follow me, Ross Bolen, on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat at WRBolen, at WRBOLEN. And again, we're live every Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday on twitch.tv/BossRollin, excluding this Tuesday evening. We will not be live, but Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, every week. Twitch.tv/BOSSROLEN. And that's where you can find me at WRBolen, at twitch.tv/BossRollin. Chris, where can everybody find you on social media?
You can find me on Twitter at Q0ULS. You can find me on Instagram at ChrisSC99. And you can find me on Snapchat at Chris_Coulson. That's COULSON. And make sure you send in all your snaps of trash license plates so we can throw them up on our Instagram account at Trash License Plates.
If you're looking like, what do I send? What do I send in to Ross and Chris on Snapchat? Then go on to our Instagram at the Ross Bolen Podcast and check out all the different highlights. You can send in pictures of your dogs, ton of great dog photos. Good dogs is a whole segment on there. Food, trash moves, what else? Sports, merch, animals, fucking shoes. Send us pictures of your shoes. Halloween decorations, cats. We got a felines area. Nut moments, stuff you're watching on TV. Health and fitness in the form of RossFit. Cart chaos if you see a cart abandoned somewhere. Or nature, music, all kinds. Just send us your Snapchats. At WRBolen is my Snapchat. Coles, what is yours again?
Chris_Coulson.
Keep those coming. We take the best ones every day. We throw them up on our Instagram story at the Ross Bolen Podcast on Instagram. Did you cover all your social? Yeah. Awesome. Check out Bolen Media's television and film podcast, Oysters, Clams, and Cockles, otherwise known as OCC, formerly the #1 Game of Thrones podcast in the world. Oysters, Clams, and Cockles now covering general television, entertainment, and film talk every week. Plus, right now, we're doing Amazon's The Boys Season 2. We're discussing the finale this week. We're going to be covering the final episodes of Lovecraft Country on HBO. We've been covering Season 1 the whole way through. We're on Yellowstone Season 2 coming back soon. Oysters, Clams, and Cockles. If you love TV and film and entertainment news, new episode every week wherever you listen to the Ross Bolen Podcast. And that will do it for RBP 340, produced by Myrriah, Gossett, and Mike Moody Garcia of Permanent Record Studios in Austin, Texas. We will be back Monday with RBP 341. And, of course, before that, we'll be back Friday on Patreon.com/Ross Bolen Podcast with another exclusive premium ad-free episode for dues-paying members of the RBP gang pledging their monthly support to keep the podcast alive, growing, showing. Minimum of just $5 monthly on Patreon.com/Ross Bolen Podcast. Come through, support the show, get more RBP on Patreon. You are not alone. Podmen get paid. Respect Mr. Park. Strength and honor. Gang, gang, gang. Chris.
Peace be with you.
And also with you.